Oh, sorry. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel, Tarot by Bronx. This is Tarot Talk. These are Tarot Things, and I'm your host, Boogie Down Bronx, and I am here to take care of everybody. All right. So this is a new type of video that I've been wanting to try out. It's just a self-care, self-help guidance type of video based on my own perspectives, my own opinions, thoughts, things that I feel are true to me. All right. So this isn't based on zodiac signs or anything. This is just about like real life situations, real life problems, things that we all face, things that I've been through, and how I have overcome or how I'm just processing it. Okay, so this video is going to be in regards to how to stop caring about what other people think and how to stop people pleasing. Okay, so people pleasing is a huge problem that I deal with, and I'm sure a lot of others can relate. Where I feel like this comes from is always childhood stuff. I feel like people pleasing is just kind of like a trauma response, especially if you came from a household where you didn't get a lot of praise or validation, or like you always had to prove your worth to your parents, or you had to kind of fight for their love or their respect or something like that. And I think that's where it comes from, because that's like it's kind of like an itch you can never scratch outside of yourself. Okay, I got my iPad right here. Y'all know I got my iPad on me, so it's there as a guideline if I ever get lost or forget what I'm talking about. So yeah, people pleasing and the tendency to be liked is just ingrained in us. It's our society. We all want to be socially accepted to some degree, or accepted on some level. And from a young age, we're just always kind of pinned against each other. Like, you know, they have sibling rivalries, they got favoritism in families. It's always like you're always trying to one up somebody, or it's like spelling bees, competitions. There's always something to be striving for, or there's always some type of competitive energy, or, you know, it's always a mission to try to fit in to some category in our lifetimes. So that's just within us. And it's always like you do something good, you get a pat on the back. You don't do anything, you don't get praised. You know, it's always like you're thinking about, I gotta get people to like me, or I want my parents to like me, or I want whoever to like me, so I'm gonna do the things that I have to do, whether I like to do them or not. Okay, so I kind of want to just go through a few things, maybe 5. If I think of more, I might say more, but just a couple things in regards to how I should have worn my headphones for this video, but I think y'all can still hear me pretty well. But how to end this, like how to break this cycle of people pleasing, and how to stop caring what people think about you so much. And just know, like, when you're listening to these things, this is something that you have to practice daily. This isn't something that you just do once and you're good to go and you'll never feel like people pleasing again. No, this is something that takes time and practice. And the analogy that I always use is, you are most likely from 20 something years old watching this, maybe 40 something, that range there. So what makes you think that you're going to be able to unlearn something that you've been programmed to think your whole life in a few days or a few weeks or a year? It's going to take some time. All right. If this is 20 years plus of programming, so you're unlearning things. All right. So the first step to not caring what people think about you is to stop asking. Wow, that sounds so easy, right? Stop caring, stop asking. And what I mean by that is to not let it be your first instinct to ask somebody's opinion about something. I have a few friends that do this a lot, that I've noticed over the years. It's like they cannot like think for themselves. Like anything that they do, they have to ask somebody, or they have to ask 2, 3, 4, 5 people about what they should wear, what they should eat, if this looks right, if this sounds good, should they say this, should they say that. And what that goes to show is that if you're that type of person, you really need validation from other people. This is not to say you don't need to ask for help, but there's a very fine line. If your first instinct before you can make any decisions, or before you make decisions generally, think about it. Think about if you're a type of person who you ask people all the time if you should do something or if you shouldn't do something before you do it. and you gather your consensus based on those responses. If that's you, then that shows that you're a people pleaser, or that to some degree you care a lot about what other people are going to think of you, versus just going with your first instinct saying, hey, do I like this? Okay, I'm gonna go with it, rather than, are other people gonna like this? Does this sound stupid to other people? That's a big indicator that you care what other people think about you a lot. So try not to ask every single time about something, or ask more than you're not asking, okay? So what happens when you ask people their opinions all the time, it causes you to kind of lose your authenticity about your own decisions and what makes you you, because you're not thinking for yourself. Other people are thinking for you. And so where's the authenticity in that? It's kind of like you're building yourself off of other people. And I feel like I'm just getting mutable signs probably do this often, because they're like the chameleons of the zodiac. So, you know, Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini might do this a lot, to try to fit in or blend in a sense. Okay. Another thing I feel like with this, it kind of goes into this, is not being afraid to make your own decisions or make mistakes. A lot of people do like to avoid mistakes at all costs, or avoid making wrong decisions. But the good thing about making mistakes, it builds your self-confidence. Actually, it builds character, it builds your self-esteem, because it builds your personal power. Because it's like, if you made the decision, you can take accountability and you can fix it to a degree, or you're gonna be the one. Or if you made the right decision, it's like you gotta make a couple wrong ones to make a right one, right? So if you make a right decision, you could be like, that was all me, nobody else helped me with that, and it feels really good, and that's why it builds confidence. But you can't just avoid making bad decisions, okay? But you also can fix it, because if you get a decision from somebody else and it's not the right one, or you regret it, you're gonna beat yourself up about it and say, why did I listen to these people? Okay, they're not your brain, they're not you, they're not living your experience. All right, so second thing in regards to how you can stop caring about what people think and people pleasing, is to stop perfectionism. Perfectionism is a terrible disease that all Virgos suffer from. Okay, all those Virgos, we know about perfectionism. It's striving for a height or a goal or an achievement of self that does not exist. Okay, you'll never be perfect. Okay, practice doesn't necessarily make perfect. So because you're human, so you can always still make mistakes, and if you're perfect, then you are not going to mess up. So kind of just take that word perfect out of your vocabulary for yourself, or striving for that type of thing there. So how to stop perfectionism? So it's kind of like, if you find that you're a type of person who's always tweaking the way you look, tweaking something that you're doing, scrapping ideas, starting over because it's not right. Instead of trying to see it all the way through, or see something all the way through, you might have very bad perfectionism habits. Or if you find yourself constantly adjusting your values, or adjusting things based on other people's opinions or their perspectives of you or what you're doing, that shows that you have bad perfectionism tendencies, okay? So when you see yourself doing that, or you see yourself starting to adjust what you're doing based on other people's validation of what you're doing, based on other people's opinions, their approval, try to stop, okay? Catch yourself and say, what am I doing here? I'm doing this for others. I'm not fixing this for me. I'm not changing this for me. I'm changing this for my mom, for my friend, for my sister. I'm changing the way I dress. I'm changing the way I act. I'm tweaking it so other people can be comfortable. And that is what you want to stop doing. So when you find yourself doing that, I find that doing the opposite of that is what really can help you, and just stopping that in its tracks. And it's learning how to be aware and how to identify when you're perfecting yourself too much for others, okay? The third thing that you want to do is try not to worry so much about being liked. I know this is like probably a very, very hard one. This is probably the hardest step out of all of these things. Especially if you grew up and you didn't have a lot of friends, or you didn't have a lot of people around you, didn't have support from your family, you may have a scarcity mindset when it comes down to relationships and the types of people. So it's kind of like a quantity mindset versus quality. You can have two great, amazing friends, or you can have a bunch of fake friends, okay? It's the choice is up to you. But when you have a scarcity mindset, you're always going to be thinking about like being liked, or you're going to be thinking that you're going to run out of friendships, or you're going to be alone. And so you just need to make people like you at all costs. And that is something that's not true. Okay? The right people will like you. But if you're being fake and you're not being yourself, then the wrong people are going to like you. And it's just not going to be authentic. Okay? So as long as you're confident, people will follow you. And a really hard pill to swallow is to accept that I'm trying to think of how to say this. Not everybody in this world will always like you. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what you do, what you don't do. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like you. Okay? An analogy that I use for that is people have preferences. Think about your favorite food. The food that you like, somebody else might not like. And do you take that personally? No, because you have different preferences. Some people like chocolate ice cream. Some people like vanilla ice cream. It's based on their perception of the world, based on their taste buds, based on they grew up. Maybe they had a bad experience with vanilla ice cream and now they don't like it. So you trying to make everybody like you or make people like you is never going to happen, because people have preferences. People may not be into what you're into. People, it's just never going to happen. So you need to just be yourself. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It's something tough that you have to wrap your mind around for a while before you can actually start doing it. The fact that not everyone is going to accept you, not everyone is going to like you, and you will never be able to change yourself enough to make everybody like you. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be something that they don't like. So just live for yourself. And the thing about it is, this is why people please and why people care, is because when people don't like you and you change for them, you are rejecting yourself. You're ultimately saying, they don't like me, so I don't like me either. So I'm going to change so they like me. And you kind of just ignore the fact that you just said, I don't like myself. So you're rejecting yourself every time you do that, because you're saying, wow, if they don't like me, then I don't like me. And that's not a good take. Okay. So the fourth thing that you need to do is praise yourself. Praise your good qualities, the things that you like about yourself. If you don't like something, if you don't like anything, make something up. Okay. Make yourself believe it, because your subconscious mind does not understand the difference of what you're telling it. You're telling it you're the best person in the world. You're beautiful. I love you. Your subconscious mind is going to start responding in your body language. It's going to start sending signals to your brain to make you feel those things, make you feel those emotions. But if you're saying to yourself, you're ugly, I hate you every day, your subconscious mind is going to start sending those signals to your body. Okay. It's kind of like placebo effect, and you're doing it to yourself. All right. So it's like, if you have really low self-esteem, you want to like praise yourself more than the average person and kind of God complex yourself. Like, I'm the best person to ever exist. I am amazing. I have qualities that the right people would love. People would love to have me in their presence. And the more you do that, the more you're going to start to feel it. And you'll be surprised. You keep it up. All right. And then the last tip that I have for you guys in regards to not caring what people think about you is, if you flip the coin on the other side and you see things from somebody else's perspective, people are not that emotionally connected. Everybody is very ego driven. Everyone. We're always thinking about ourselves. We have to make more of an effort to think about other people in some way. Like, everybody's very self-conscious to a certain extent, or thinking about what they're doing. So people, when they see you, they're not necessarily thinking from an emotional standpoint, like, oh my gosh, I wonder if they cared that other people were going to look at them this way. I feel so bad for them. Like, they're not necessarily that emotional when they think of it. They might think of it from a logical perspective, like, oh wow, that's what they did. Okay, I don't like it, or I don't get it. And then they move on. They're not thinking about you all day long. They're not obsessing about you emotionally, about, how bad they feel that you made that choice today. No, people really don't care that much. Now, from a logical perspective or a mental perspective, yeah, they might be really like nitpicky, but emotionally they're not attached. Like, it's like people can't necessarily be that attached. Okay, so if you just think about yourself, like how often you worry about what other people are doing, from an emotional perspective, people aren't paying as much attention as it may seem, for the most part. Okay, or they're just gonna move on with their lives eventually, so you should do the same. All right, so that's what I got here. That's some self-help tips for how to, stop caring. Hope this helps you implement these things. I'm still working on this myself. It's very hard for me. Okay, so yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I am Tarot by Bronx.